Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Interface, a very special episode where we're going to be looking at some of the things that happened at WWDC. I'm James Farley and with me is Matt Murray. Hello Matt.
Hello, how's it going?
Not too bad. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to just have a look at our reactions really to what happened at WWDC because there's a lot of content to get through here. We're going to sort of be going through each point, but then later in the week we'll have another show which will be more sort of our reflections on what we've seen. So, shall we start with in the order that they started with? What do you think, Matt?
Let's start with WatchOS 3. Okay,
so first of all, what did you think of like the WatchOS stuff in general?
I think generally it's really good. They had loads of features which it seems that they've had some more time to actually properly use the device, and users have had time to use it and give their feedback, that we're now getting actual proper decent improvements to to sort of quality of life on the watch, and in the ways that people are actually using the device. So it's not just how Apple designed it, a couple of years ago now, before all the users got to use it. Now we know how people use their watches and what they need to do quickly and easily, and that's why these changes are coming. And it feels like everything they announced yesterday made sense, and it seems really good. And I'm really excited to try these new features out.
Yeah, it really did feel like a reaction to the to all the criticism there's been, and it kind of feels like it's that sort of, this is what the watch should have been in the beginning if
Definitely.
they'd have really known what they were doing.
Yeah.
Instead of like chucking everything at it. Because the watch initially, it had a lot of features, but it didn't really do anything really, really well. Whereas with this, it feels like they've actually sort of scaled some things back a bit and just refined the bits that people actually use, which is probably a good idea.
Definitely.
So the first thing here is obviously is the speed, because that's the thing that most people complain about with the watch, and they noted that it was, it's significantly faster now.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and that also combined with background downloading for apps, which I believe are recently used or in the dock, and we'll we'll talk about the dock in a bit. But it feels like apps are now almost instant, and particularly with background downloading. The example they used on stage was a football scores app, and as opposed to now where you would you would open the app, wait a few seconds, then wait a few more seconds to download the data once you're in the app. This had the data basically ready to go, and it had like the latest score of a football match, and that's the stuff that will make such a massive difference to Apple Watch. If you hold your arm up for like more than a second or two, it already feels too slow. It already feels sluggish, and it feels like I should just use my phone instead to get the information that I want. So making me instant is amazing, but just making them a lot faster, which they seem to have done, is going to be a huge improvement. I'm really excited to see how that changes how that changes how I use the watch on a daily basis.
Yeah, especially, I was thinking, one of the apps that I want to use on it is like Twitter or Tweetbot, that kind of thing, and I started using the official Twitter app actually, which we need to talk about at some point, and it's being able to use it on the watch is quite handy, especially if you're if you're watching sport, like I'm watching football. Sometimes it's nice to be able to just scroll through what's going on. But the problem with it on the watch at the moment is it's too slow and it really doesn't work well. If this is going to update stuff in the background, this would be brilliant. Just be able to look it up and see what's happening immediately would be, that'd be significantly better.
Are you really, or do you really want to scroll up and down a timeline on your watch?
Yeah, I've got no problem with that. It's
I guess for me, I'll use sort of my phone for that. But ultimately, having a super quick app is going to be really useful.
So is that? So that's the background updates. There's obviously new watch faces as well.
Yeah, they look good. There's now Minnie Mouse to go with Mickey Mouse, and there's that new. I can't remember what I think it's like Roman. I think there's like a Roman numerals face, or there's at least 2 or 3 quite stylish new watch faces, which look nice.
Yeah, there was that. There was the activity watch face as well, so you can see.
Yeah. I quite look forward to using that. The apps I use, the faces I use now, the complication on everyone is a fitness ring. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing that. Also, to change watch faces now, you just swipe from the left left or right. I'm not sure if it's one or the other, but you swipe from the edge to quickly switch to a new watch face, which is really useful because I'm constantly doing that to match either the band or maybe match what I'm wearing. So that's going to be a really good way to quick and easy switch between watch faces.
Yeah, you see, I don't really change mine that much. I mean, I usually use, the modular one.
Yeah,
is the one I prefer because it has the most information on it. That you
really.
Things.
So yeah, I tend to have like modular. So I tend to wear like the sport band, obviously when I'm running, but also on say weekends or if I'm doing something sweaty or active. I don't want to have my leather watch strap for that. I tend to have the sport band, and for that I tend to have the modular face because it's easier to see things. It's just like you can see the information quickly and easily. I've got a blue leather strap, and for that I have like the blue watch face. If I'm wearing something black or red shirt, I'll have like Mickey Mouse. I try to match to what I'm wearing. So yeah,
this is because you're far more stylish than me. I just don't care.
I'm not, but yeah, you've got to match the watch face to the band. Otherwise, you absolutely blown it. But yeah, the ability to quickly and easily switch watch faces with a swipe from the left and right is brilliant.
See, I mean, the other thing though that they've added to this, which I'm most excited about, I think, is the scribble mode.
This looked ridiculous to me, but go on.
It looks fantastic. It's like, I mean, using this for
explain
for
what
sending
it is
messages.
First.
Well, okay, so basically with the scribble mode, at the moment, if you want to reply to messages or you want to send email or anything, then you have to basically use voice dictation's the only way of really doing that. So it will either send like a voice message or it will translate it from voice to text, which doesn't really work very well. It's it has problems. If cell phone coverage is really good, then it's good, but otherwise it's not so good. But the scribble mode is so that you can write the letter and then it will appear, and so then you can basically draw out what you're trying to say. And I don't know. I think that looks kind of good.
I mean, it looks good, but I mean, I won't do it because it will take forever. I mean, I guess fundamentally now I'm not sending messages on the watch because voice dictation is just a bit sketchy at best. But I certainly won't start drawing or writing out an entire message using that. I mean, it'd be cool to do it once. It's a cool little tech demo, and they showed later on writing sort of Chinese characters, which I think looks like a great way of using the functionality, but yeah, it's no way I'm going to be writing messages out on this thing. But it's certainly cool. But I'll never use it.
I think it depends on how quickly you can do it. Like if you can write them really quickly, then you could easily.
I guess if I can write quickly and it's really good at recognizing what I'm writing quickly, then it could be good. It could be quite interesting. I'll certainly obviously give it a go, but I can't see myself writing sort of loads of tweets and huge WhatsApp messages and stuff in it. But it's definitely good.
Yeah, you see, I mean, like the Chinese characters thing was interesting because I was just thinking if you do that, because each character is a word, so, in theory that would mean it would be quicker, but then it's not because each character has many, many strokes. Yeah. So it would still take about the same amount of time, I think, to use.
It was a really, really impressive demo. Watching the woman on stage, writing out those Chinese characters, it is really interesting. So the next thing they showed was the dock.
Yeah.
So a dock. It basically, this is like a a vertical or horizontal sort of set of cards showing.
I think it was horizontal. I think, wasn't it?
So this basically shows apps, which I presume you can sort of set to the dock. I'm not sure if it's that or if it's just recent apps. But is this in conjunction with the honeycomb sort of default menu layout? Because I don't remember them showing that default thing once.
Yeah, we didn't see that at all, actually.
So I wasn't sure. From the podcast and stuff I've heard this morning and stuff I've read, people are saying that this is recent or it's sort of favorited, apps. So which to me implies that that's not every app, and so therefore you still need a way to access all those apps, and the honeycomb method, I guess, would still be there, that honeycomb menu, but they didn't show that once, which is really strange.
I'd imagine so, but the dock solution is probably okay because, I mean, realistically, you're probably not going to be using a lot of apps on your watch, are you?
No, definitely not. No.
I mean, I'm only used probably about 4, so it's using them in the dock would be easier.
Yeah. So the dock looks good. It's just like a really quick, easy way of getting access to your apps. Do you know how you access the dock?
Isn't it through? I thought it was through pressing the button. The one below the digital crown. I hate saying that.
Okay, right, yeah. So it's. Oh, okay. So they have changed the functionality of that button. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because the other bit's gone. At the moment it has the like recent, the people you can contact.
Yeah,
I think that's
has your friends.
Yeah,
cool.
But also, glances is gone as well. It's they don't have
really?
that anymore. Yeah, it seems that's disappeared.
Well, I use that I did use glances for pausing and playing podcasts if I didn't want to get my my phone out of my pocket. But oh well. So the big one is there's a reminders app now on the watch. As if it's taken us like a year or whatever, well over a year for that to happen. But yeah, reminders on the watch is finally here, thank God. There are timer shortcuts, which is really cool. So I set timers all the time on my watch. We've been over this many times, and now it will show you sort of when you go to the timers. You can obviously set your own, but it will also show sort of default timers, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, or whatever. So that should be really, really handy for me at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the reminders thing in particular should have been there from the beginning.
Yeah, it's crazy there wasn't one, but
sense.
But there you go.
So there's that, and then there's emergency SOS.
Yeah, this is great, and this is something I mentioned this like during the show when we were chatting during the keynote. But I basically tried to do this myself. So in my but it didn't work. I basically created a contact in my phone called emergency, and I added 999 as the number, and I added it to my sort of friends wheel. But for whatever reason, it wouldn't work. If I dialed it, it just wasn't working. Because I had sort of visions in my mind of, maybe I was involved in like an accident or something. I don't know. And like maybe and a way to like quickly dial an ambulance would be just to say, "Hey Siri, dial emergency." Man, anyway, for whatever reason, that didn't work.
You think too much about this stuff. Are you just like permanently worried you're going to get attacked?
I just thought, there must be a way I can use this watch in a much better way. And I thought, if I'm trapped under a rock somewhere, I'll just say Siri, dial 999 or emergency or whatever, and it'll work. But anyway, that didn't work. But this looks like a really, really good implementation. This is, so you hold down basically the power button, don't you?
Yeah.
And beneath the power, but when the sort of, press to turn off sort of screen appears, beneath all those is an emergency button. You press that and essentially it does dial 999 or 911. It also brings up your health and personal information from the health app. So I guess that's our blood type as well as like name, age and stuff and whatnot. So this looks really good.
Okay, so then we got that. And then the other thing we've got is the activity sharing.
Yeah, they're actually trying to actually adding some gamification to activity, which is something that's desperately needed.
Mm-hmm. Which was the it's very similar to the like Fitbit does this kind of stuff, doesn't it? Where you can.
So I've never used Fitbit properly. So on Fitbit you can see your friends' activities. Is that what you can do on the app?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I think the whole point of this is it's supposed to motivate you to sort of try harder.
Yeah. So just to explain, essentially, I believe you can basically invite or share your activity rings with your friends' rings, so you can see how much I've walked, how much I've stood up, how much exercise I've done, I guess. And you can also...
I don't want to do that.
You can also sort of write comments or respond to someone's activities. I think that's what they've shown. You can also send smack talk to friends, which is... I hate using that phrase, and it's just embarrassing when they say it, but I presume you can also record an audio message and say, "Yeah, man, you can't run," and that. Yeah, you're rubbish at running.
Do you reckon they'll have like voice filters like the original Xbox Live had?
I hope so. That would be amazing. So yeah, I'm less jazzed about the whole sending smack talk to friends aspect, but I think the activity sharing thing is great. I mean, part of the reason I started running so much was because of Strava, the running app, and the fact that loads of people in my office were running, and we were like competing against each other. We were trying to beat each other's times. We're trying to do run more in the week, to cover further distances, run for longer. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be running half as much as I am now. It's just fun, seeing numbers go up and trying to beat your friends and whatnot. So yeah, this is good, and I'm interested to see where they take this a bit further down the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we had Breathe.
Yeah, Breathe is a new fitness app, which I'm sure this must be a meme already. Do you want to explain what Breathe is?
So Breathe is similar to the other functions on the Apple Watch at the moment, which where it tells you to stand up and things like that. Whereas this reminds you to breathe. It's
when the notification came up saying like, so again, typically I think it's 10 to the hour every hour. If you haven't stood up much already, then the Apple Watch will alert you to say, why not stand up? Because doctors and people say that you should stand up for at least a minute or two every hour to avoid sort of, I don't know, deep vein thrombosis and stuff. I don't know. It's just good for you to stand up at least once every hour. So that's what the Apple Watch currently does. But this new app, a reminder came up on screen during a demo. It just said breathe, which I thought, Jesus Christ. I mean, that has to be a meme. Someone has got. I get what they're doing. It's more sort of, being more conscious of your breathing and taking deep breaths. I guess, 'cause that sort of stuff can relieve stress and make you feel better. But it's just, I don't know.
It really feels like one of their sort of more, out there ideas.
Yeah.
They've sort of put there. But, maybe it's not bad.
And many people I know have turned off the stand notification. So, I don't need to know if I need to stand there an hour. But I think I will be turning off the breathe for 2 minutes notification. But there you go. So this is out on developer preview now. You can install it on your watch, and everyone else, it's a free upgrade coming this fall, which I guess is September time.
See, would you be tempted to use the developer preview? Because I probably wouldn't.
I mean, I haven't heard much about this one, but I know from my friends who did it last year, it was just impossibly buggy. And no, I mean, these features look good, but it's not something I really want to do. I mean, I didn't even install the last iOS beta because I've just found that after doing it for many years on the trot, I just felt like my phone was getting a bit slower, a bit more sluggish. So now I'm starting to not do that. Also, when I get a new phone, it's not just a new phone now. It is also the new operating system in terms of, because I haven't used the beta or the alpha and stuff. So I'm starting to hold off on doing that, and I probably wouldn't do it for my watch.
See, the only thing I'm wondering about with this watch stuff though is the battery life. Because
they didn't mention it. Although they could absolutely have shown improvements in battery life, through software efficiencies and stuff. That's what they do with iOS every year. But do you think that they probably made efficiencies, but these new features sort of mean that it's essentially the same battery life as it was before?
Well, that's kind of what I'd hope. I mean, the thing is, the battery life at the moment for me is fine. It's okay. But I'm worried that all these new features, especially like the how fast things are working, will end up eating into battery more. But I don't know. I think they surely would. Well, would they have mentioned that?
I mean, I think that will be something that they mention when they release Apple Watch 2, and when when WatchOS 3 goes live, you would think that will go live with a new Apple Watch model itself, and that will have a better battery life. So they probably didn't mention it just for that reason. It's probably just not worth it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's take a look at tvOS, because see, for me, to be honest, this was the most, not disappointing, but the least interesting, I think, of the whole thing.
Did you expect them to totally rewrite or totally change the operating system?
Not really. I mean, I don't know really what I was expecting, but I was expecting a bit more than we got, I think, kind of. I mean, okay, so there's new video apps, obviously, because that always happens.
Yeah, there's another million video apps, which is good, I guess.
Then you've got the new remote app,
yeah.
Which offers the same functionality that the remote actually has, which again is kind of useful. Yeah, but I always found it a bit fiddly though, because it's still like you have to like open up the app on your phone, then you've got to connect to it and stuff like that. Yeah, I know you can leave it on always connected, but then it just drains your battery like more.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever use it much? Because I always end up just looking for the remote. I
mean, so I obviously got burgled recently, and the burglars stole the Apple TV remote, but not the Apple TV. So I have been using the remote app exclusively because I haven't bought a new remote yet, which I need to do. But it's okay. It's not great, but I mean, this new app will be a lot better. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it does.
Yeah, and then we've got, I think the biggest thing from this that I liked was this whole search, like searching YouTube using Siri.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, that was something I couldn't believe it wasn't in when I first got Apple TV, because, I use YouTube loads, and, it's great on Apple TV, but now in fact you can just say, search YouTube for, E3 coverage or WWDC, and it will know that you're talking about the YouTube app, and then search in the app is brilliant. So I think for me that was the best thing they showed tvOS wise.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean the only other, there was also the single sign-on as well. I mean, can you explain what that is? Because I don't really understand completely.
I mean, it's weird. This is basically primarily, I guess, for new users, because right now I am signed into all my all my services, but I presume it's just you sign into one thing and then it knows that email address is then associated with all your other sort of TV apps and Netflix and so on and so forth. So I presume you must have to set that up elsewhere on the Apple website. I'm not sure, but
it must be a bit like how it works on Xbox. You know, like how if you sign into, say, I think like Amazon Instant Video on Xbox, it knows your account details already.
Right, okay.
Somehow. I don't know how, but it does that. It must be using like Keychain or something like that.
Yeah. The next one, I can't remember what it was called, but the fact you can search in an app for is it called Tune In?
Yeah, which one?
It's the one where they basically searched for ESPN2 and it went straight to ESPN2 channel within the TV app, within one of their video apps.
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing, which was this whole idea of sort of like live video, like the fact that you could watch live TV. They've partnered with Sling in America, so there will be sort of live TV on there, but I don't know how that would work here. I mean, probably it won't, I'd imagine.
No, I mean, I can't remember what the name of that Freeview app is currently that's available on the App Store, but if I could...
It's TV player.
So if I could maybe just, search Siri for Dave or... I don't know, Sky Sports News or whatever is available on Freeview. I mean, it'd be good if it then went straight into that, but I don't know how it works. But I mean, the fact that the demo showed that he just searched for ESPN2 and it went straight into the whatever video app was relevant, and it went straight to that channel. It's really good, and it's really exciting stuff if it comes out over here and it works well.
Okay, so then the other thing they've announced, which kind of surprised me a little, was that game developers can specify that you do need a controller now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that they didn't do us a launch, but I mean, this paves the way for much better experiences gaming-wise on Apple TV. Those get also, we're skipping down, but we'll cover the other bits in a minute. But they also mentioned Replay Kit, and that is basically something that developers can use to enable live streaming in their games. And you can also save sort of game. I presume also just general app footage for using later, which is quite cool.
But see, it just makes me wonder with this, because I just wonder how much they are thinking about gaming on this machine, because it's not that powerful, especially compared with what we've just seen at E3.
No, but the fact they're at least building these APIs, they're also allowing support for 4 game controllers. I mean, they're doing sort of the basics that can allow developers to then go away and build their own experiences. So the fact they've got Replay Kit for live video streaming, live game streaming, the fact they can specify it's controller only game, the fact they can have up to 4 game controllers paired to Apple TV, these are all good things. These are the basics that devs need to then go away and hopefully go and create really fantastic games for Apple TV. So I'm happy they're doing that. I mean, we've discussed many times that Apple clearly aren't truly focused on games, but at least they're providing some of the tools that devs can use to go away and build awesome stuff.
Yeah, and I guess they basically don't really need to care anyway what's going on in the other space. They can really just do what they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
there's also a dark mode for Apple TV, which looks nice. It's just dark as opposed to the white currently. I think that was it, isn't it? I think that's it for tvOS.
Yeah, which is why I felt a bit disappointed, because I just thought, I don't know what I wanted, but I just wanted something a bit more than that. But, yeah. Okay, so then if we move on to OS X, which has now been renamed to macOS, as we were expecting.
It makes sense. And the new OS is actually called macOS Sierra, which I really like. It's a nice name.
Yeah, we were totally wrong with all our predictions.
It wasn't whatever I chose last time.
Okay, so if we go through some of these, because this also had a lot of features. There was an awful lot of stuff here. So first of all, auto unlock using the phone or watch.
This is great. So this just means that if I got my watch on, I want to walk up to my Mac, I can just open the screen if it's a laptop, or I can press the button on the keyboard and the device is already unlocked.
Yeah, and this looked a lot better, obviously, than a lot of the third-party stuff.
Yeah, we discussed it last week, didn't we? With with the rumored MacBook Pro, but using apps like, was it Mac ID or whatever it is? This looks great. So
it looked very seamless, which is the best thing. Okay, so then we've got Universal Clipboard.
I've been wanting this for so long, and this is fantastic. So this is if you copy and paste some text from your phone, it's available on your desktop, and desktop is available on your phone, and I guess iPad as well. I mean, currently what I tend to do is I either have to email myself the link, or more commonly I'm basically copying text, I'm putting it into notes, and then opening notes on my phone or my computer to get it onto the other device. So this is brilliant. The fact there is a universal clipboard across all your Apple devices is fantastic.
So this must be using continuity, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it must be, yeah.
So this is kind of good. And then the next thing which we got on here, which I'm really happy about, is this desktop iCloud Drive. I think this is a really good idea.
Yeah, those are good.
It's one of those things, though. It's not, to be honest, it's not so much for me, but for like friends and family. Because you see, I don't store documents and stuff on my desktop anyway. You know, I have them in other places neatly filed away.
Yeah, me too.
You know, like most other people, you switch on their computer and then you like look at the screen and it's just like thousands of icons like all over the screen.
It makes me sick.
It really winds me up as well, but it's just one of those things. But then for people like my dad, for example, this is brilliant because then I don't have to, because before I've always done these solutions like having to sync files into other folders that are then being synced to the cloud and stuff like that. And this is much better. Like the idea that it's going to sync all that stuff, this way is good. So
this desktop iCloud Drive, so it really is just literally syncing the sort of the contents and the things you're using on the desktop across all your devices.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I mean, iCloud. I mean, I've obviously used it for photos and stuff, but I use Dropbox as my regular sort of cloud storage solution. So, is this doing much else other than that? I mean, I don't have anything on my desktop, so is this not really much use for me?
Probably not. No. Okay. I mean, because I use OneDrive actually for a lot of my file storage because reasons. And,
because reasons.
Yeah, and but that works in pretty much exactly the same way. I mean, the only advantage with this is the fact that it like natively does the desktop. If you care about that, and it's also works on your phone. But then so does everything else. I mean, everything works on your phone now. I mean, since iOS 9, they added it so that you could, how you can like attach files to emails.
Yeah.
And if you do that, like just in the stock app, you can like add it from other services as well, not just iCloud Drive.
I love that.
Which is really good. So this feels like less of a big deal, but I still think it's very good. Like as I said, for friends and family, it's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
But then also they talked about this whole optimized storage thing as well, which was making room on your hard drive by moving old files into the cloud. But again, this is something which looks good for people that don't already do that, like don't already organize stuff. And all my stuff's already really organized like in that way. So
I mean, during the show he mentioned 150 gig, and I asked you what that meant, but I rewatched a bit of the conference this morning, and basically what they showed there was that they had 20 gig free on their machine, but once they use optimized storage, it basically meant that they had 150 gig free. Yeah. Because they basically moved 130 gigs worth of stuff that they, I guess, haven't used recently or whatever into the cloud to free up space, which is brilliant. I mean, tons of my stuff is already in the cloud. Like I said, I've used Dropbox quite a lot recently, and most of my stuff is in Dropbox, synced across my different devices. Obviously, my photos are in the cloud, and email and music and stuff. So, yeah, but I mean, I guess any way I can optimize storage is good. I guess it'll. I wonder how granular it can be and what the settings can be to make sure it works for you. But no, it does look like a great feature.
Yeah. Then we had the other thing which everyone already knew about. Obviously, was Apple Pay.
Yeah,
on
Apple
the web.
Pay. Yeah.
Which is it's useful.
Yeah, that's good.
Quite happy with that. Then we had tabs in Maps, Photos, Preview, pretty much everything. Then we had now this next one, Picture in Picture, actually is quite good. I'm quite happy with this idea as well. I mean, do you ever watch stuff while you're doing other things?
I watch a ton of YouTube, but I typically sort of have that in full screen. But yeah, I mean, the idea of just being able to have picture-in-picture, we'll watch a YouTube video and then have it sort of over to one side of the screen is brilliant. And it looked really good in practice. You can resize it, you can move the window. So it does look really good. This obviously is a feature taken from the iPads, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think this is, again, it's another useful feature.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing revolutionary, but pretty good. Now, the next thing, which is obviously pretty much the big thing, is Siri on the Mac.
Siri is on the Mac, finally, yeah.
Did you hear that?
I did, yeah. But you didn't say, hey,
I know, I didn't even say, hey, Siri. It just said
again.
Siri, and it activated. That's never happened to me before. I always thought that was one of those things that people just exaggerate about. But
it happens to me every time we've talked about it.
It actually did happen. That's weird. Okay, you're going to have to take the lead with this, because at the point when this was happening, I was watching the Microsoft conference and things were happening. So
yeah, well, So for those of you who don't know, E3 is happening right now, and which is a video games conference, massive thing happening in LA, and at the same time with the Apple event, Microsoft are doing their big Xbox show. And originally at the start, I was watching both, and then Xbox got a bit boring, so I focused on WWDC. But yeah, Siri on the Mac is coming. It looks great. It basically does a lot of things that people were, people rumored. It was rumored to be doing, and people, things that people wanted. You can ask long questions to Siri using context. You can ask the same question multiple different ways. What it does is it then brings answers into a notification center. It seems like, and you can basically say sort of play a playlist, and it will look for your Apple Music playlists. If you ask Siri to search, or say, documents on your computer, those results, I believe, are showing Notification Center, or control. Yeah, it's called Notification Center, isn't it? And you can basically drag those results from Notification Center into maybe a keynote presentation, or to maybe a document you're preparing. You can search using the web. You can search the web using Siri, and again, you can drag any of those results. So you can maybe you'll search for like a picture of like a cute puppy. You can drag that drag that image or file into a document as well. So it does a lot of the things that people have been asking for. We'll probably might go into a bit more detail about Siri in the iOS section coming next, but from what I've learned after reading some of the documentation and speaking to other people, that this Siri implementation doesn't appear to be as sort of complex and as wide-reaching as it might seem. You can't, for instance, like ask it to play podcasts. It has very specific commands which it's been programmed in to do, and it isn't anything and everything. Now, I'm not sure if this is just because this is only what Apple's done so far, and actually there's the ability for devs to maybe program more sort of questions that you can ask it, and more apps that it can drive, but currently it feels like it's quite limited in the amount of things it can actually do.
Did they mention the activation? Like, because I know it activates through the dock or through the menu bar, but is there any other way? Can you just speak like in the same way that you can with the phone?
I don't know, in all honesty. I mean, I'd like to think you can, but that wasn't something that they did. But in terms of the things you can do with Siri, you can also use it for like VoIP calling. So things like Skype and Viber. I guess another thing is you can start a call, end a call, so on and so forth. It obviously works with messaging. You can search photos, you can do payments, you can start a workout. This obviously on iOS, and we'll come to it in a minute. You can book sort of Ubers, and it works on CarPlay. But those are the only things that are listed in the intent domain section on the SiriKit programming guide on the Apple website. So, and for instance, in that you can't say start a podcast. You can't say other things, I'm not sure, but a podcast, for instance, is one of the big things, and that currently isn't in this sort of library of intent. So I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if that's coming. I'm not sure if that's something devs can build in, but it feels a little bit limited, in all honesty. But it's still exciting. It's coming to the Mac, and it's well worth it.
So you can do that. I mean, you can start podcasts on iOS, but it's not great. Like it often doesn't work very well.
So how does it work on iOS? Because I don't really use the podcast app. I use Overcast. But can you say, hey, S, open? How does it work? Do you say the name of the actual podcast episode?
Yeah, I mean, usually I'll just say like, hey, I'm not going to say it. Play like Football Weekly podcast. and then it does it. But then sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. It's sometimes it will say something like, would you like me to search the web for like whatever?
Yeah. See, I mean, I might have like my phone next to me, and I have recently played a podcast. I just want to say, "Hey S, play," and it will then just play what was most recently played. That's what I want, but it doesn't do that currently. But anyway, the next one is iOS 10.
Yeah.
So one of my predictions for listeners who heard last week's show was that this would not be called iOS 10; it would be called iOS 9.5. That was obviously, I got that prediction pretty wrong. But yeah, iOS 10 is what it's called, and it feels like they've done a lot to this iOS update. It feels like there's a lot of things they've changed.
Yeah, so the first thing was it's raise to wake. So this is where you pick up the phone and then it will automatically sort of, come alive.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea. I mean, that's probably only going to be with phones that have got like a motion coprocessor.
Yeah, so I believe that's probably going to be like the phones with the M9 processor. I believe that's six and above. So yeah, but I haven't said that they didn't confirm that either way. But I would assume that's the case. Now, this raise to wake, this is basically very much like what they've got on Android, isn't it? You can pick up the phone and it shows notifications as opposed to having to touch the screen or to do anything. So yeah, that looks great. This obviously coincides with much improved lock screen notifications.
Yeah, this is all the stuff that Android people always say, oh, we've had this for years.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's there now.
It does it really good. So on lock screen, you can basically, essentially these are like mini apps, but when your phone's still locked, so you can respond to calendar messages, you can do loads of stuff like that. It does look really good from all the examples that they showed.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Then... Okay, so what else have we got here?
You can, on the lock screen, you can now swipe right and it opens the camera. You can swipe left and you come up with widgets. So as opposed to previously, you would have to swipe up from the bottom to get a control center, then press the camera. Now you can just swipe from the right to get that. So all that lock screen stuff does look really, really good. And it looks lovely.
Yeah, again, it's all stuff that there's been before, but it's been implemented really well.
Yeah.
It looks kind of nice. And then we got better Siri. So this is following on from this. Part of the plan of this, they said they're going to open it up to devs. Yeah. Yeah. So again, this is doing the things that the people wanted and that was heavily rumored. But yeah, Siri is going to be open up to developers. So developers can code their own apps using things like using new Siri API. So you can start fitness sort of workouts, you can send money, you can do VoIP calls, which is the things I basically just mentioned. It works in CarPlay. You can ask the same question multiple different times. It looks really, really good. And then photos.
So just in terms of Siri, they also sort of added, I think they called it basically Siri data or Siri technology basically into messages. So now if you and I are texting and you would say things like let's go for a burger, and then you say maybe like Monday night at 10, Siri sort of works out that those things are all sort of together, and you can press a button and basically create a calendar invite or calendar sort of something in your calendar, and it will bring in the fact that we're going to go for a burger at 9:00 on Monday night. So it's much clever. It's looking at much more contextual information, and it will do a lot more clever things with that. So yeah, Siri is essentially Siri isn't just a voice data. It's baking that information into technology into everything that the phone does now.
Or it will just say, would you like me to search the web for let's go and get a burger?
yeah, basically. I do not understand that. So just going back to Siri on the Mac quickly, one of the things that Craig Federici did in his demo, he searched for a document using Siri, and Siri came back with a list of documents, but also came back with like a pithy audio response to his request. And that is absolutely not what I want at all. I don't want me to search for an image and it's like, hey, Mac, cool image. What are you going to use this for? I just want, if we can turn it off, awesome. I just don't want cool, pithy, witty responses from Siri every time I do a search.
But that's been like a general problem though, isn't it? It's like they are all of these like sort of not AIs, but all of these like assistants are like getting a bit chatty. And I think it's because they're trying to make them more human. This is the idea, but it ends up just sounding awful.
Yeah, I don't mind every now and then, but not every time I'm searching for a document. Regarding Siri, again, sorry we keep coming back to this, but did they clarify whether it is or isn't going to be work with Spotlight? Is Spotlight going to be replaced? Is Spotlight still a thing?
I don't think they said anything about that. There was no. I mean, there's no way they'll replace Spotlight. They only revamped it recently, and it's good.
Yeah, I guess so. But I wonder how Siri works with that.
See, that's another thing I wish that they'd done though. Is I wish they added more functionality to Spotlight, because there's a lot more it should be able to do, but it can't. But, you know.
Cool. So next one is Photos.
Mm-hmm.
So Photos, this is essentially doing a lot of things that Google Photos does. A lot of people, Casey Liss and co on ATP have mentioned Google Photos quite a lot recently. The fact that it does create photo albums sort of on the fly, and these memories. If you go away on holiday, you can basically press a few buttons and it will bring in relevant pictures. And that's what Siri is doing now. It will automatically create photo albums. It will then show like a map of maybe where, if you went away for the weekend, it will show a map of where you went. It shows sort of a mixture of videos, photos, live photos. You can search for things like, I think the example they had was, they had some horses in the picture. You could search for a horse and it will bring all the photos back with horse in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's starting to understand what, not just the fact that you've got images and photos, but actually what's in them as well. I think face capture, or what's it called, where it recognizes all the faces in the picture.
I don't remember.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically got that. I would say it's already had that for a while, but it does that in a much better way now. So yeah, it looks good. And I've had a few of my friends have shared sort of Google Photo albums with me after we might go away for a holiday, and it's really good how it works. So yeah, if Photos is done as well as that, I'll be quite looking forward to seeing it. I'm not sure how much I'd use it, but it's definitely a good thing to have. So
next was Maps. I mean, do you use Maps?
So Maps,
I do.
So if typically I'd use Google Maps, but I now basically, if I'm walking somewhere on foot, I basically just use Apple Maps because it works so well with the watch. So I can just search in Maps and it'll then like sort of vibrate and tell me where to go and tell me the right streets and stuff. So if I'm walking anywhere on foot and I don't know where I'm going, I'll use Apple Maps definitely. If I'm driving, I'll use Google Maps if my old TomTom has forgotten where to go. But all this stuff in Maps looks really, really, really powerful. I mean, I'm not sure how much I'm going to use it, but it does look really, really good. So it's much more proactive now. If you go into Maps, you can basically swipe up from the bottom and it will know where you are typically at certain times of the day. So if you go into the Maps app in the morning, it will then suggest, it'll take half an hour to get to work now, or traffic is this, or maybe you should go this way because there's been an accident. So it's much more proactive. It knows where you are, where you need to be. If you're at work and it's around 5ish, it knows that you're probably going to drive home. It will then give you directions and tell you traffic details and whatnot. You can basically you can search your maps, of course, which is what you've been able to do for a long time. But it will then work out how long it would take for you to change your route to go to like this local restaurant or go to get some petrol, for instance. So it seems really clever in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I use Maps all the time. I used it when we were away on holiday recently, and it did take me the wrong way, actually. But Google Maps also took me the wrong way at the same time because there was a like a massive like new road layout, and neither of them had the right map. Right. It was both of them were wrong, which was annoying. I got lost for a long time. But I still use it. I think it's improved massively since it first came out.
I mean, well, one of the best things about this demo is the fact that devs can sort of you can build stuff within Maps now. So one example they used was they were in Maps. They searched for a restaurant, and they could then book the table using Open Table. Within the Maps app, so they're not exiting. They're not going to another app. So they're still in the Maps app. They're booking a table. They can pay for that table using Apple Pay. They can then book an Uber within the app too, and then pay for that using Apple Pay. I believe Apple are calling these things extensions within Maps, but that sounds fantastic. The fact you could essentially plan an evening and pay for it all within Maps without having to go to other apps and put in payment details here and find out if you're logged into that website or sign up. That looks really, really, really powerful and was arguably one of the most impressive things they showed yesterday, even though I'm not sure how much I'll use it. And and whatnot, but it did look really, really good.
Yeah, because I mean, as you said, you've got you can like book an Uber as well in Maps,
Yeah.
and then pay using Apple Pay. It's all good.
Yeah, I think that stuff looks really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then they moved on to music.
They did.
And see, I'm not really sure what I feel about this because I don't really care that much because I don't use Apple Music, as we discussed before. I still use like just my own library.
Yeah, you're old school.
Yeah, but yeah, they've added lyrics. You know, you can do this, and they've redesigned how it looks, which people seem to think is better. What did you think? I
mean, yeah. So they have seemingly rebuilt the app from the ground up and redesigned the whole thing. It does look way better. Yeah, they've given more prominence to your local library. So I don't really have a local library anymore. I was obsessed with my iTunes library back in the day, and then computers got stolen or lost this or lost that, and basically I've used Spotify since 2011, so I don't really have a local library anymore. But this does give more prominence to that, and I believe it basically shows much more clearer what's on your library as opposed to what's on Apple Music. You can very easily show which music you've got downloaded. I mean, it does do loads of really good stuff, and I think I will give this a go for a month or two to give another trial, because obviously I used it when it first came out and it was plagued with errors and issues. I'll certainly give it a go. They got curated playlists now, which is again something that Spotify does really, really well. So every Monday a playlist will appear, and based on your music choices and stuff you've been listening to. It does look really good, and I'll give it a go, I think. But I'm not holding much hope for me to switch from Spotify. But yeah, it looks really, really good.
What did you think of the rapping bit?
I thought I liked the women presenter. I thought trying to get the whole audience to rap along with the song probably wasn't a great moment, but yeah, I don't know. It was quite funny. It was quite embarrassing, but
there's been worse.
Yeah,
so it
absolutely.
Wasn't too bad. Okay, and then also we got news. So this was. I mean, do you use the news?
I don't. I when they first announced a news app, I thought I would be using it every day because I used to use RSS, readers all the time, and I still use Feedly every now and then. But no, I opened it on the first day it came out, and then haven't really bothered going back since then.
I've used it like for a couple of. I use it sometimes, but it still just feels like a bit of a mess because you never really know like what's new and what isn't new.
I was amazed when they said that it's got 60 million monthly users.
Well, how many iPhones are there out there?
I guess so, but
it's
yeah, that's amazing. They say they've got 2,000 publications on there now. You can get like magazine subscriptions, newspaper subscriptions. There are notifications for breaking news. Yeah, it's got an all new design. So yeah, it looks good. I honestly don't think I'll use it, but it does look good if you're into that. If you're one of the 60 million monthly users, go ahead and knock yourself out. It looks good.
Yeah. And then HomeKit. So this is one of the things you predicted.
This is one of my big predictions, and it totally came true. Yeah, there's going to be a home app in iOS 10, and that's going to be essentially the hub for your home automation stuff. So things like your Philips Hue bulbs, if you've got like a garage door that is set up that way, a front door potentially, yeah, you can control it all through this home app. It looks good. I haven't got any home automation stuff yet. I was, as I said in the last episode, waiting for Apple to really get behind HomeKit and get loads of stuff built and whatnot. But yeah, this looks really good. If you've got Philips Hue bulbs and that sort of stuff, this looks like a really great way to control it all.
I really like the way that you control it as well, with it being built into the control center. Like you bring up control center as you would normally, and then it's swipe right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know say it's all controllable from there. I'm not sure how you get to it specifically, but yeah, the fact that it is there is really good. They mentioned that Apple TV is the hub, but they didn't quite mention how it's going to be used as a hub. I mean,
why not? Yeah, because if it's just the same options as on iPhone, then what's the difference?
They showed all pictures of the Apple TV app and also the app on iPad. But if it's just like a big app, then I guess that's cool. But I wasn't really sure why why I would need Apple TV or why it's beneficial for me to get Apple TV to use this. But yeah, it looks good. I mean, it has all the things like, geofences. So when you drive home, when you arrive home, it will maybe turn the lights on, it will maybe open the garage and so on and so forth. But yeah, it looks good. There's an app for Apple TV, iPad, Apple Watch. So yeah, it looks awesome.
It's all very good. I mean, okay, so the next bit did also interest me as well, which was the phone, because I was kind of surprised when they brought this up. It just said like phone, we've made improvements to that, and I thought, what can you do with that? You just use it to call people. But then it turns out that they've added it's the API, isn't it? They've added it so that you can plug in other apps into the phone. Yeah. So you can use you can make calls from WhatsApp directly from the dialer or from Skype.
I thought that looked really, really good. The way Skype calls and Viber calls are integrated with your sort of recent stuff and all that. Yeah.
Because presumably that means that it bypasses those apps as well, in the sense of you don't have to open the app; it will just run from the dialer, that'd be brilliant.
I guess so. I mean, I know they said it will be integrated within, say, recents, for instance, if you've had a Skype call, but I wasn't sure if that only means, you start the app, you start the call from Skype, or you receive a Skype call, and then the recents are, that call was in recents. But in terms of actually starting a call on Skype, I got the impression you would probably still have to go open the Skype app, but I'm not 100% sure there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine that's probably what other developers would prefer, because otherwise you just wouldn't bother using them.
I guess
anymore.
Otherwise, so if I click on new in my favourites, it would then, would I hold down and I'll have to choose from a list of options, Viber, Skype, regular phone call. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
But it still looks interesting. We'll see what happens with that. So it goes. Now this is kind of the final bit, I guess.
Before we leave phone, also there's voicemail transcriptions, which is super handy. So I mean, visual voicemail is great anyway. It's a lot better than the old voicemails. We had to dial one and wait ages to hear the voicemail. But yeah, now voicemails are transcribed, which is quite good.
But also, I can't believe I forgot this, but the possible spam message.
Yeah, that's really handy, yeah. So did he mention China specifically in that section, didn't he?
Yeah.
So what was that about? Well, why did he mention China specifically?
Well, let me explain very briefly. Basically, when you're in China and you've got a phone number, you do get a lot of spam. Like people calling you all the time, trying to sell you stuff and all sorts of stuff. It's quite bad because when my daughter was born in China, and what happens is somebody in the hospital sells your details to different companies. So as soon as you get home, you get called all the time with people trying to sell you nappies, formula milk, everything, and basically anything you sign up for in China, somebody will sell your details to a company.
So why is that going on? I presume you can't just tick a box and they're like, oh yeah, we ticked a box. So
there's nothing like that. There's no way you can stop it. So you just get spam calls all the time. I mean, it's quite funny because my wife used to get them all the time, and I used to say, just give me the phone, and then I just talk to them in English or whatever. Yeah. And then they'd be very confused as to what's going on. It was quite fun. I used to enjoy doing that. But it is a big problem. I mean, I get spam here at the moment because I'm with the AA, and I had a flat battery once when I was out, and so the AA were called out, and then every week now I get a automated voice message from somebody saying, we have heard you were recently in an accident. You may be in line for compensation, or whatever it is.
To be fair, I get them every week and I haven't had an accident. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. It's but it's kind of annoying. But having this would be very useful, particularly in China, because it's you get spam voice all the time. Cool. It's very annoying.
So the last of the big 10 features for iOS 10 is all around messages.
Yeah, and this is kind of annoying because, first of all, they didn't do what we were expecting, because there was a lot of big rumours prior to this that they were going to release iMessage for Android. That didn't happen.
No, they didn't.
And then all the other stuff, I don't really care. It's all just stuff. It's all stuff that's from WeChat. From China, it's.
Let's try and go through some of the things. So first of all, in Messages, if you share a web link, it's a rich link, so it will show a preview.
Yeah, which is good.
From the website, show some website art, etc. Maybe a small sort of excerpt from the article. I think that looks good. Video, if you share, I guess, a YouTube video link, it plays out within the Messages app, so you don't have to go elsewhere. That's also good. If you're taking a picture, when you click on the camera icon, it instantly shows us instantly shows you a preview of what your camera is looking at. So you don't have to open the camera app. You know, do you have to go full screen camera? You can essentially look in the little sort of camera bit at the bottom of the screen. All that stuff is really good.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's useful, like, admittedly. But then there's all the other stuff, which is just, like, junk, really.
Then it goes into emoji. Yeah. Emoji Central, basically. So emoji are now 3 times bigger. You know, cool, I guess. I mean, I'm not really a huge... I barely really... I rarely use emoji, but, you know, obviously it's huge. Emoji predictions, I'm not sure what the actual terminology they used here, but basically if you obviously type a message to a friend or whatever, if you then press the emoji button, certain words will change to the colour orange, and those ones you can tap on and basically replace the word you've written for an emoji.
But who does that? Like, who's gonna do that? Like, who's gonna go, like,
teens?
Right,
I don't know.
Do you fancy going to see the football and then, like, replace football with a picture of a football? Who would do that?
Well, that's how I'm going to speak to you in all our messages. Yeah, moving forward. I don't know. I mean, some people will obviously love that. I mean, for me, I don't get it. I mean, I also don't get. I've never really used text speak either because that sort of does my head in. Yeah, but. Whatever, I'm sure this. You know, they're basically bringing a lot of things that WhatsApp are doing, and Facebook Messenger, and I guess WeChat. So
yeah,
obviously people are using these and the features and loving them. So it's good that Apple is bringing them into the default Messages app.
Yeah, I mean, like in WeChat, they've had this like from the beginning, like some of these effects. Like it's things like if you type in the word birthday in any message, like in Chinese or in English, they'll automatically have like celebration stuff going on in the background.
Yeah,
but to be honest, that's kind of, it gets irritating actually, because sometimes you don't want it to do that and it just automatically does it.
Well, on this they had like the example of a full screen sort of fireworks behind the messages. I don't know when I'm ever going to use that, and also bubble effects. Now, I think they mentioned bubble effects specifically in Google I/O when Google announced their 2 messaging apps. But so this is obviously a term I wasn't really familiar with. But yeah, bubble effects in messages, so you can basically have like your message blue bubble can be huge or it can be small. You can do things like you can sort of hide your text. So I guess so you can write a message and you can obviously press something on that message, and when your recipient receives it, they can't read the text until they sort of swipe across the blue or green bubble and it reveals what was written. You can do digital touch things, taken essentially from the Apple Watch. So you can take a picture, you can you can write on the screen, so you can sign it, you can do a little drawing on your picture, which is pretty cool. You can send heartbeats, I think that stuff is really good actually. I'm quite, obviously it's good it's been quite fun to draw on the Apple Watch, but the screen's really small, so yeah, it's going to be really good to actually draw on a decent sized screen.
I think, the thing where you have to like wipe the screen so then it like reveals the message, that's not going to get abused.
No, absolutely not.
But yeah, I don't know. It looks okay, I guess, but I know it just felt like they spend an awful lot of time on this stuff, which was, I don't know. To me, I don't really care that much.
No, it's not something I'm going to use a lot, but it is good. I mean, so the message I said was that they are opening up messages to devs. Now that could mean that someone could theoretically build messages for Android. I mean, I guess I was a little surprised that they didn't mention, Apple themselves didn't say they're bringing it to other platforms, but maybe they're not ready. Maybe they don't want to do it. I mean, it was only a rumour, I guess. But
okay, so that was messages. Then we had, like, you could collaborate on notes, like, if you want to. I mean, that's pretty much the same as you can do that with stuff like Pages and things already. It's pretty much the same, but I guess it's because people actually use notes.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love using, doing collaboration on Google Docs. So it's good to do it on that, but I don't really use notes like that. Notes are really just personal things like shopping lists and stuff I need to write down. So, yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, this is one, they suddenly listed like 10 or 15 other little features which didn't fall into one of the major 10 tentpole sort of features they announced previously. But yeah, one of which is you can collaborate on notes like Google Docs. There's a split view mode now in Safari and iPad, so you can have 2 instances of Safari split view on iPad, which is pretty good. And they mentioned some other things, but basically iOS 10 is out in the fall. It's out in the autumn, of course, as a free update. Yeah, it is solid. iOS 10 looks like it's lots of really, really good little features.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, this is what I said. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here which looks really great, and it is just kind of annoying that we've got to wait until autumn because, I mean, there is the developer versions out now, but I don't want to run that now because it will destroy. It's just they're just usually buggy, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the bugs I can handle, but it's like the bugs can be annoying if one of your apps hasn't really taken sort of isn't using the latest APIs, then they'll just break and battery life is all over the place. And yeah, I used to do it every single year, every single version. I'll get the beta, but I'm doing it less and less. Well, I'm not really bothering these days because I just don't want to have to deal with all the bugs and all the battery life issues. But it does look good. This one isn't sort of making me desperately go out and say I need to get iOS 10 now, but it's definitely good, yeah.
And then finally, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but they had talked about Swift for quite a long time, but...
Yeah, I haven't really got an awful lot to say. I mean, they went on and talked about Swift, of course, which is what they've done in previous years. The biggest thing is that they are releasing a Swift Playgrounds app for iPad. Swift, obviously, is Apple's programming language. Playgrounds is... so I've done a little bit of coding in Swift myself. I was starting to learn last year. And basically, Playgrounds is... a section within Xcode, which is Apple's programming app for macOS, and basically Playgrounds is essentially an area where you can code, and it gives you like an instant preview of what that code's going to look like, as opposed to writing code, compiling it, that sort of stuff. So this is basically that, but for iPad. So this has loads of challenges. This is very much geared towards the sort of the beginner coder, and and they obviously show loads of images from schools and colleges, so the younger coders. But yeah, this looks like an amazing way to get into coding and learning Swift, and it's going to be a free app. I think it's out. I'm not sure actually when they said the app's out, but yeah, Swift Playground looks like it could be really, really fantastic. And yeah, I think if I had an iPad, I'll definitely download this to give it a go, because like I said, I was starting to learn Swift coding last year, and it's really good fun, actually. I used to do programming back in the day, but yeah, Swift looks like a really good language now to get involved in, and version 3 is coming soon. I don't think it's quite out quite yet, so it's probably a good time to get started if you want to start learning, and this looks like a really, really good way of doing that.
Yeah, so that was kind of the end of what we have. Obviously, there'll be another show later in the week, which maybe we'll take a look at a few of these with more detail. But also, I mean, there's some other things we need to talk about, like the Microsoft and LinkedIn. I think is quite a big deal.
Yeah, we definitely talk about that. Yeah, so this episode will be out. Well, it'll be out whenever you're hearing this. The episode's out clearly because you're hearing it, but the next one will be out next week, and that's when we'll go into more detail. Yeah, into some of the things that we've learned over the course of this WWDC conference, but also other stuff that come out during the week of WWDC sort of talks and panels and whatnot.
Okay, well, thank you for listening. And Matt, do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Just search for Interface on iTunes. We're on Twitter. We're at InterfacePod on Twitter. We're at facebook.com/InterfacePod. And that's probably it. You can follow us both on Twitter. I'm at Matt Murray. James is at JCA Farley. Yeah, so you can follow us on Twitter. But other than that, I think that's about the end.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.